What is up, guys? Brian here, and I think the pre-halvening dumpening has started that I warned you guys about 5 days ago. Let's talk about it. I think that Bitcoin is going to go lower than 5,000, maybe as low as 2,500. Now, that's not what a lot of you guys want to hear. A lot of the mainstream media is selling hopium. A lot of crypto YouTubers are selling hopium, and you have to basically think about where people's incentives lie. If someone is completely invested in the stock market and they're saying, hey, Rona V is not that bad, we need to get everything back rolling again and stuff like that, and they're worried about their investments, and understandably so. Same thing with crypto YouTubers. If they are just totally all in on crypto, then you have to worry about that. But I have straddled the situation. I am invested kind of both ways. Right now, I have hedged some of my risk into the US dollar, but also I've got a substantial amount of crypto still, and I have a professional baseball team, the California Dogecoin of Fairfield, that we want to get playing and all that kind of stuff. So if this would have never happened, then everything would have been great. We were going to play 15 games against other leagues during spring training, the Atlantic League, the Frontier League, and the American Association. But do you think we're going to go play the Long Island Ducks on Long Island when they're digging mass graves in New York? It's a really bad situation, and I don't want to make light of it. And it's just the reality. I'm not here to sell you hopium. I'm here to sell you kind of just the truth and the way I see stuff. And 5 days ago, this is what I predicted, but already we're starting to dump off. Bitcoin is down over 6%. Ethereum down over 7.75%, so on and so forth. And obviously Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV, as predicted. The halving or halvening, whatever you want to call it. It really is overblown. It's kind of for kind of noobs to think oh, well, this is this big event, all this kind of stuff. And as I predicted, this thing was going to dump off. Now, Bitcoin typically, this stuff was only held up as much because of Bitcoin, and other crypto and stuff kind of going up in the short term. But now that dumping has started. Now, okay, let's take a look at a couple other things. This was on Monday, and this is what I was wearing in at Walmart. And here's my grocery cart. I bought $511 worth of groceries. If I really stretch this out, I could probably stretch it out for a couple months. And you have to understand that why would I be so worried? I look relatively healthy, and that should telling story. If you're following me on Instagram, I'm out there just dunking on Casper. Sitting here just dunking on Casper, just lifting all kinds of weights. Obviously, each one of these is a 45-pound plate. Each one of these is a 45-pound plate. So if I can lift 400 to 500 pounds, why would I be worried about Rona V? I'm healthy. I shouldn't have to worry about it. Well, that should tell you something right there. If I'm worried about it and I can lift 400 or 500 pounds, maybe you should be worried about it. So if I have a professional baseball team that is set to kind of display cryptocurrencies and promote cryptocurrencies, and I peg to the US dollar, maybe you should be worried about being 100% in crypto. I'm just saying. I do my research. I look at this stuff and let's look at a few things. Now, this is from 5 days ago, and obviously, the cases and the deaths keep rising, unfortunately, and it's just the projections that I was talking about in this video. It's just not looking good. But let's hear something I had to say 5 days ago. Instantaneous nuclear winter. B, people are scared. So when you talk about something that's market traded, whether it's stocks, options, cryptocurrencies, commodities, any of that stuff, in the short term, it's going to react out of emotion. And what is the emotion? It's fear. It is fear. People are like, oh man, this is serious. I don't want to get this. And then what solution does, in the short term, I'm saying in the short term, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, what solution does crypto provide in this situation? It really doesn't provide anything. When there's empty shelves, no toilet paper, not enough respirators, all that kind of stuff. People lost their incomes, and that just causes ripple effect after ripple effect after ripple effect in the economy. What solution does crypto provide? Now, somebody might say, well, it's a safe haven. This is the hardest money, and I would agree to that to a certain respect, but you have to understand in relation to, something that's maybe, more tangible as far as like energy costs, because I always say, people say, oh, cryptocurrencies aren't backed by anything. Well, it's backed by energy and computing power. Well, when you look at energy cost, let's say for obviously construction, automobiles, diesel fuel, oil, gasoline, all that kind of stuff, those prices have been falling. And, the stocks associated with it have been. Okay, so hopefully that wasn't too loud, guys, but you get what I'm saying. 5 days ago, April 5th, 2020, this is what I was saying. And people in general agreed with me when I was saying, I have a pretty tight core group of followers. Other people maybe think, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. This and that YouTuber is maybe doing, talking in all these technical analysis terms. If you guys have followed me for a while, I don't use technical analysis, especially on the short term. I might look at some kind of very large macro thing. But as far as, doing this MACD, Fibonacci retracement, Elliott wave, all that stuff is hocus pocus. It is just complete hogwash. Let's just think about the situation here. We are in our first global pandemic of our lifetimes and of our parents' lifetimes. So that in itself tells me that troubles are in the water for anything that is market traded. And, it's not going to be, when there's not food on the shelves, people are all freaked out about getting sick, when people are coughing up blood, when they're digging mass graves in New York, this is not a time that people are going to think, maybe I should buy some Zcash. That's not somebody's typical reaction. Let me buy this hyper volatile cryptocurrency, and see what happens. That's not something that's typically, going to be someone's thought process. Everybody's sitting there checking their bank account. Where's my $1,200? Where's my $1,200? I've lost my job. I don't have any money. Where's my $1,200? That's what people are thinking right now. Now you might say, well, those aren't the people that are going to buy cryptocurrencies. Okay. Well, in general, though, you have a lot of these people that, let's say, would have maybe gone deeper, or maybe we're going to buy a new car, or we're going to do a move, or they were going to maybe buy a new house, or they were going to, their kid was going to be playing Little League, so they're going to have to buy pants and a bat and all this kind of stuff. And none of that's happening right now. So everything has come to a grinding halt. Now let's look a little bit more into this. When have I made my buy purchases in crypto? Now you see here 4 months ago, we're talking November, December of 2019 timeframes when prices were low. We go back. And you see this. I know it says 1 year ago or whatever, but this was late 2018 when prices were low again. So if you guys have followed me for a while, you see that I'm buying in when the pain is just enormous and most people are scared and those kind of things. And then in this situation, you should kind of take note that if this guy has pegged some of his crypto to the US dollar, then that's maybe kind of a sign that, if this guy's pretty rational, he's able to buy in kind of at those lower points and keep stacking. And I said before that I was like, man, I'm going to end up with way more crypto than I thought I was going to end up with, because we ended up getting this other opportunity in late 2019 that I didn't really expect. And that was pandemic situation. So it wasn't being caused by that. So if the prices are going low then what makes you think that suddenly there's not going to be another buying opportunity, or this thing isn't going to tank out when people are losing their jobs and all this kind of stuff? And again, people will gravitate back towards that, oh, this is a safe haven or something like that. No, I'm not seeing it, because the thing is, a lot of these cryptos have actually ended up more volatile than they were even 3, 4, 5 years ago, because of these leverage trading platforms. Bybit, on Binance, you can leverage out like 125%, 120 times, 125x. So you get these leverage trading platforms, and the whales are able to set people up. They're able to kind of collude together, and they can go obviously in the direction they want to. They can leverage way out, and then they'll sell off and crush the market, break everybody's back, torch everybody, and buy back in. And it's a really fun game for them. So, that's one of the reasons why the leverage is so dangerous for kind of everyday person, because you're not in control of the market. None of us are in control of the market. And, we just have to roll with the punches and stuff. And right now we have a global pandemic on our hands. So, let's look into this a little bit further. And this is kind of a tailing sign. Okay, December 11th, 2018, EOS. Now, at the time, EOS was sub $2. And these were buy orders I was doing out on Kraken. Here's another example, November 20th, 2019. Zcash, $33.58. Well, in the last 2 days, both EOS and Zcash have been higher than these amounts and stuff like that. And so you have to ask yourself, once again, why, okay, if the price was lower then than it is right now, and there's this global pandemic, then why wouldn't you think that you're going to get like another opportunity? Let's say the halvening happens here coming up, and, in a month's time, and then what? People are going to wait around twiddling their thumbs for the next year and a half while there's not food on the shelves. People are losing their jobs, and there's these aftershock after aftershock of both Rona V and economically of people losing their jobs. There's going to be more. There's going to be more pink slips coming out, guys. People losing their jobs. There's just no way around it. When was the last halvening? July 9th of 2016. Okay. Well, let's look at this. When did it dump? When did it peak? June 20th? And then the halvening happened on July 9th. So, at least there are 20 days, 20 days or so. And then, what happened? We had this huge dump, and then it went down and stuff like that. And let's say it dumped off 25%. Well, we weren't in a global pandemic. Times were good. 2016, times were good. And that happened then. Well, more people anticipated, hey, this halvening's coming, and more noobs going to get sucked into that and kind of stuff. And the volumes were dropping off anyway. So, to me, like I said 5 days ago, and you can go back and you can watch this video and stuff. But it just, my whole thing was, hey, anything that's market traded right now doesn't make sense. And even though the government is printing all this money, trillions of dollars worth, in the short term, the safe haven is still going to be the US dollar. Think about the countries that have a less stable currency, that maybe suffer from more hyperinflation. They still want the US dollar. So in a time of economic collapse, they're going to seek relative security, and their relative security is going to be the US dollar. All the fiat currencies are floating around in cyberspace altogether and stuff like that, but relative to the others, the US dollar is going to be relatively secure in the short term. And in comparison to fuel prices, the fuel prices around here are about the same price that I was paying like back in like 2004 or something like that. So, think about it in those terms. In the last month, have your groceries necessarily like spiked in price a ton? Are you suddenly paying $80 for a loaf of bread? No. So that kind of goes out the window in the short term, as far as like, oh, this hyperinflation thing, oh, Bitcoin's so much better and stuff like that. And also think that people have other options to kind of send money that have improved in the last 4 or 5 years, even Cash App, Venmo, all these kind of things. So if people are going to transfer money to each other for bills or for payments and stuff like that, they tend to gravitate towards that. The mass majority of cryptocurrency is still speculative investment. 95, maybe 99% of crypto is just speculative investment. So if all these people are just purporting, that, hey, this thing's going to go up because the supply is lower and all this kind of stuff, and that may be true in the long term and stuff, but during this situation that we've never dealt with in our lifetimes and our parents' lifetimes is just not a good situation. So let's keep moving forward. Again, the halvening was there. We did have the burn off, and then the same thing is occurring now. So now here's an example. Tesla plans no pay, furloughs, salary cuts while plants idled. If these plants aren't doing anything and nobody's working, at some point they got to cut you. And that's going to continue to happen over the next few weeks. Not just this initial kind of like, boom, these people are out of work. But over time, some of these people are still getting paid to sit at home. They're going to be on the chopping block. And that's going to dominate the headlines. Obviously, Rona V, kind of like death tolls or different things, or, famous people or celebrities or something that get it. Those things are also going to dominate the headlines. But people getting laid off, it's going to get to where there's going to be thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people laid off from these big Fortune 500 companies as things seize up and as the economy goes into nuclear winter right now. Jobless claims, obviously, it keeps shooting up and stuff like that. And who knows how high this whole thing will get. Like, a lot of people haven't filed, yet. They're still kind of like waiting around. They haven't taken action. And as more and more things happen, but you're gonna, these are gonna keep stacking on. And where's the unemployment rate? It's likely shot above 10% and heading higher. It's just going to send aftershock after aftershock after aftershock. Coronavirus. New York ramps up mass burials amid outbreak. Okay, they're burying all these because these people can't afford to have a funeral. These people are dying. They can't afford to have a funeral. And, it's a really sad thing because that's not, these kind of situations and this kind of stuff in the news is not typical. And some people, they kind of try to separate themselves from it, and they're thinking, everything's fine here or something, or they'll try to displace, well, those were older people that had health issues, blah, 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 I'm healthy. Again, I want to go back to the fact that if I'm sitting here dressing up like this, going to the store, buying over $500 worth of groceries, and I can lift 400 or 500 pounds, then maybe people should kind of like rethink what their perception of like that they're healthy and that they're not really worried about this and this kind of stuff. People have kind of locked onto this idea of that this thing is not that serious, whether it was because they were watching a certain news network or something a month ago or whatever, or they originally didn't think, and they're not quick to change their mind and be like, ooh, this is way worse. They're not quick. Sometimes they don't want to admit that they're wrong, quote unquote. So they'll stick to that. Boris Johnson, UK's Prime Minister, he was in intensive care, because he's got Rona V. That is not normal that you have world leaders in intensive care. That is not normal, guys. That is not normal. Hate to break it to you. So the stock market, where is it going? I think it's going down here to about 1,500. This is a sucker's rally. How could it not be? All these companies, there was companies that weren't really in good health in the first place, and then over time, this is gonna look really toxic. Uber, Uber here trading for $27.11, market cap over $46 billion, negative 6.81 earnings per share. There's no dividend. And then, yet there's still this 1 year target, $40 and stuff like that. Yeah, right. This stuff's overvalued. They're not making money. They're just burning through capital left and right. And right now with this whole thing, it continues to get obviously worse. People are not going out. They're not taking Ubers as much. They're not taking Lyfts. The situation gets worse. All the major sporting events are trying to find a way to have it, or just kind of mentally just kind of brainstorm obviously UFC, they were going to go to a Native American reservation. And if you're not from the United States, the Native American reservations oftentimes act almost like a sovereign nation in some ways. They have a lot of times their own police forces, their own laws, stuff like that. And it's only if there's some major kind of thing on a federal level, like a murder or something, where like the federal government would get involved, but they can act kind of as their own sort of like little nation. It'd be like the Navajo Nation or so. Anyway, they were going to go to a Native American reservation in California, but that whole situation looks like it's not going to happen, and the UFC is, postponed indefinitely right now. Major League Baseball, they're trying to brainstorm up ideas. They were discussing maybe playing all the games in Arizona. I'm trying to find a way. I've brainstormed a bunch of things, for my team, because I'm thinking, California is going to be an epicenter for this whole thing. It is, I think it's like the third highest, state on the list and all that kind of stuff. Oh, and that's another thing, guys. People are saying, oh, well, things are tailing off and stuff like that. On a world level, things are still going parabolic. Don't buy into the hopium. I mean, we hope this turns around. Hopefully there's progress and stuff like that. But, even if we look in the United States, every time you refresh it, obviously it like gets worse as, things update and stuff like that. And again, you're typically not going to have mass graves and, all that kind of stuff going on because people can't even afford a funeral. It's just, it really is sad, guys. Now, going back to the whole thing, look, I've got enough crypto that is still in crypto that, let's say if this did take off, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Brian is wrong, and this thing takes off, and the supply and the stock to flow ratio plays true even through a pandemic, and crypto just surges. Guess what? My car doors are still going to be opening vertically because I still have, about 45% of what I did have still in crypto. I probably sold, when I say sold, I mean like I pegged it and I went to the US dollar for the time being in an attempt to end up with more. Now, I just 2 days ago, and I feel like an enormous amount of stress when I've sold the crypto and I'm waiting for like something to fall. I feel an enormous amount of stress. I feel way better just buying into it and riding the roller coaster. So this is only in an extreme situation where I'm going to do this to try to accumulate more. So I'm not trying to sell you guys on this idea. If you want to keep all your crypto and just thug it out and ride through this thing, I completely understand. It is very stressful for me to sit here and wait. We might be waiting a while. It might be in June. It might be in July. It might be in August when I get my buy points. And I'm going to buy in at these lower levels. And I'm going to put more fiat in. So it's in no way am I like turning away from crypto or something. But in this short term, in this situation, my belief is that people aren't sitting there thinking, you know what, I'm gonna spend my last dollar on this hyper volatile cryptocurrency thing. It's just not serving a purpose. It's not solving a problem. It's not solving a problem that isn't better served if they just clench up their spending and then seek relative security and not deal with the volatility. I can deal with about 10 times the volatility that the normal person can handle. And that's why when you go back here and you see my buy points, of when I've posted this stuff, when stuff was crashing and people were in their closet, eating a bucket of ice cream, eating a gallon of ice cream, crying and stuff, that's when I was buying. But that was not in a global pandemic. So, that's just the situation. You might think, hey, it looks like you're pretty normal out there, Brian. Everything's fine. It looks like you got a fresh haircut and all that kind of stuff. No, I chopped around my hair myself. This is not my best work, guys. This is what people are going crazy. This is not my best work. Let's just be honest with ourselves. It's not my best work. Be like, okay, well, should we listen to you, Brian? You're going crazy. chopping your hair. People are having mental issues right now. Now, why did I cut my hair? It was just getting so shaggy around the ears, and I started messing around. I was, trying to cut, and then my clippers, I knew they were garbage to begin with. Things didn't turn out well, and I'm kind of in between letting this grow out, and then once I'm able to get back, I mean, nobody's going to see me here, guys. You saw the amount of groceries that I have here. This is enough for 2 months, unless I just pig out and end up getting bloated to the core. But we're trying to find a way, guys. We want to play. I wish we were playing out this series. And, this date's coming up. And it is sad to me because there was a lot of work that went into this. Scheduling these games. Got the noon whistle going off here. So it is upsetting, guys. Like, we wanted to do this. Obviously, I'm sitting here in the home jersey. I've got this. This stuff's, I've been proud of this. See the brand, Brian Phobos. We want to play. So, do I want crypto to get crushed and all that stuff like that? No, I didn't want to sell it. Man, but you got to roll with the punches. And I don't know how many people are still watching this, but we're already tailing off, guys. And if it tailed off in 2016, I'm not thinking this is going to do too well. The whales have made their money. They're going to peace out. Other people are going to dump. This is going to hit people's stop losses. People cranked it up. It's going to be a domino effect. And like I said the other day in the last video, I think Bitcoin Cash was around 250. And I said, I don't see it going that much higher. It went up to like 270 or something. And now it's dumped off. And, and people that are hoping on the halvening, that have taken a pill of hopium, they're going to start to get scared. They're checking their bank account for the 1200. That isn't there yet. I mean, so on and so forth. People are going to be getting pink slip after pink slip, at these major corporations. And we're going to have these days that are going to be, not only maybe like 5,000 people dying, but we're going to have, 5,000 people laid off from Caterpillar and 5,000 people laid off from Pulte Homes and 5,000 people, you know what I mean? So on and so forth. Those are the days we're going to have coming as well. And it's just a stark reality, guys. And, hopefully we can get that back to playing baseball and get back to some kind of normalcy. But if you don't want to get flushed out and you don't want to get torched, you got to kind of take the information and do what's best for you and kind of set yourself up to hedge your risk. That's my advice. Stop following these people who are doing all this garbage technical analysis. You don't need that. Looks like my battery's about to die. So that's that, guys. Stay safe. Take this serious. Ronavirus is no joke. People have a lingering cough. Everybody I've talked to has a lingering cough that got through with it. So who knows what it did to their lungs. I don't want it. I'm going to dodge this bullet like Neo. See you guys later.